They found her body on the side of the road, near Interstate 5 in Yolo County. She was still alive, but she had been physically harmed. According to her husband, she weighed less than 110 pounds by the time she was found. For months after, the story of her kidnapping and its gruesome details shook and moved America. But now, the truth has come out. It was all staged. The case of Sherri Papini became the focus of the public spotlight. It was widely covered by the media, and law enforcement spent hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to find the culprits. But it was all a sham. Now the truth about the incident has emerged to the surface, and it has shocked even Papini's husband, who has recently filed for divorce as a result. Sherri and Keith Papini were a young couple living in Redding, California. Keith worked at a Best Buy store, and Sherri was a housewife. They had 2 kids. Up until then, their lives had been harmonious and blissful. But nothing is what it seems at first glance. One day, everything changed when Sherri disappeared without a trace. Quickly, the local authorities put all their resources into the case. Still, nobody seemed to have a clue of Sherri's location or who could be behind her disappearance. It was almost like she had vanished from the face of the earth. Until one day, a few weeks later, she was found on one side of the road more than 100 miles away from her home, covered in bruises and in a terrible physical and psychological condition. When Sherri recounted what had happened to her, the public was absolutely shocked. According to her story, she had been abducted and made the victim of cruelties beyond belief. She told the media and the authorities that she had been physically and psychologically abused beyond her limits. She claimed to suffer from anxiety, depression, and intense PTSD following her release. God only knew what horrors she had been subjected to during the weeks she was gone. Or, at least, that was her story, and everyone believed it. But there was still one question in the air. Who did it? And most importantly, why did they release her? According to Sherri, she had been kidnapped by 2 masked Hispanic women driving a black SUV and carrying a shotgun. Immediately, the authorities started investigations to find the kidnapping's culprits. It would take years for the truth to finally come out. But in the meantime, law enforcement was absolutely clueless about what was the real story. The 2 Hispanic women Sherri talked about were nowhere to be found, and there didn't seem to be any trace linking Sherri's vanishing to a culprit. They even went so far as to interrogate Keith, Sherri's husband, thinking that he may have been involved in her disappearance. But it was evident that he had nothing to do with it. As a matter of fact, he was the most heartbroken to think of what his wife could have gone through. It was devastating to him to see her in such a poor mental state as a result of the events. It's not hard to imagine that when the whole truth came out, he was the one who was the most hurt by it.
Also, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these real-life stories every day. Now, back to the story.
It took the authorities almost 6 years to learn the truth about the case. But just a few weeks ago, it became public, and it shocked everyone who remembered about Sherri's disappearance. Everything turned out to be a sham. Sherri had faked her own kidnapping and created a story full of lies. But why did she even do that? Where was she during the weeks when everyone was looking for her? It was found that she was staying with an ex-boyfriend of hers. Apparently, she either harmed herself or asked the ex-boyfriend to do it so her cover-up story could be more believable. Now, Sherri is facing federal fraud charges. She might spend up to 25 years in prison and have to give back the money she got from the government to support her. According to estimations, she received $128,000 for disability payments. But that's not all. Keith, Sherri's husband, has recently filed for divorce, shortly after the truth about the case came to public light. This is what he has said about the matter. I wish to make it clear that my goal is to provide a loving, safe, stable environment for the pair's children, and I believe the requested orders are consistent with that goal and the best interests of the children. I do not want to say anything in the pleadings connected to this matter that would inflame the situation or attract media attention. But what about Sherri's ex-boyfriend? The identity of the man Sherri was staying with during her disappearance is still unknown to the public. However, another one of Sherri's ex-boyfriends has recently spoken up about her character and her possible reasons for doing something like that. He talked in detail about Sherri's personality, and he didn't have many nice things to say about it. This is how he explained it himself. "She's a compulsive liar. She would not talk to you for 3 or 4 days, and all of a sudden there would be some fantastic story about what had happened. She was faking a heart condition at one point. Eventually, not only me, but a bunch of people figured out that that was not true," he added. But what about the man she was staying with during her fake kidnapping? He has asked to remain anonymous. However, he has talked to the media and the authorities about his involvement in the case to clarify the extent to which he was involved in Sherri's plan. According to him, Sherri asked him to hit her to make the story more credible, which he refused to do. He has also declared that the two of them did not sleep together while they were hiding. The fact that their mother lied to our kids on such a major issue is something they and I are having a hard time dealing with. We, both children and I, need time to recover and stabilize, Keith Papini declared to the press recently. Sherri Papini will be sentenced on the 11th of July. These days, she's staying with some relatives and trying to avoid the media.